Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. So if you guys remember, last week they released the new quest Dimension of Disaster, and they had the Darklight upgrade in that quest, and there was actually a bug where on the new creatures that they made it so it would actually work on them, like, you know, the Kal'gerion Demons, the Water Fiends, the Gargoyles, the added damage from the update was just not there. It was not there, so they finally fixed that today. So now the damage is up to par with what they said, and it is ready to test. Now, I was going to make the video back then, but obviously because it wasn't working, I had to wait until now. So in this video, I'm going to be testing out the Darklight at various monsters that I feel like would be the most beneficial to try out, like Abyssal Demons, Kal'gerions of course, Water Fiends, and finally Gargoyles. So my setup, as you guys can see, is just straight up Void, but I am using a Darklight and an offhand Drygor Mace. So yeah, I'm going to be doing this setup on pretty much every single test, and I will be comparing it to using just, you know, Void and Noxious Staff. Now, I know everyone doesn't have a Noxious Staff, but it's kind of showing you how good is this compared to, like, you know, the max tier weaponry for Mage, which is generally considered the best DPS at, like, most Slayer monsters and stuff. So let's see how this fares at Abyssal Demons first. So here we are at the Abyssal Demons, and I'm at the Slayer Tower location, and I tested the Darklight here for 30 minutes. And honestly, my strategy was use Slaughter, move the Demon, and then use Tendrils on one of them, and then obviously Zerk throughout the kills. It was pretty fast. Like, the kills are so fast here with the Darklight. Now, it's not a huge dramatic change compared to what I thought it would be at this place, but it's still a big enough change to make it so the Darklight is worth it here. Now, just remember throughout this video, if you plan on meleeing any of these creatures, just use the Darklight. Don't even care about these tests, just use it because it is better than Drygors at all of these places. When you're fighting demons with the Darklight, it's just absolutely overpowered compared to the Drygor. Now, also on these tests, I did not pick up pretty much any of these drops. I just collected the charms with the Charm Collector. So if you're picking up any of these drops, your kill rates will be much slower than this. But this also is not even on task either. You will get much faster kills on task as well. I was just using Void because I didn't want to, you know, spend the time to get the tasks. So based on a bunch of tests from my friends and me personally, I've estimated that using a Noxious Staff here at Abyssal Demons, you get roughly 550 kills per hour off task. That's almost 10 a minute. And, you know, that's pretty good Slayer experience per hour. And from my Darklight test, I got roughly 600 kills per hour off task. So basically with Darklight, you get about 50 kills more an hour is what I've found. Now, that might not be true for everyone if you're better at, you know, the Mage rotation for DPS or the melee DPS. It's really up to your preference or whatever when it comes down to it. But this is just showing you that melee is very good here with the Darklight. Now, you do sacrifice some AFK because you have to move from demon to demon. It is very, very click intensive, and you do have to pay attention. But if you want the fastest rates, the Darklight is for you. And if you don't have money for the Noxious Staff, definitely use the Darklight because it's basically free other than the offhand Drygor, which are very cheap right now. And on screen, there's also XP rates to show you just the real difference in terms of the weapons. Now, the next thing I tested was Kal'gerion Demons, which is where I found the Darklight to be most effective, and it's just absolutely crazy how good it is here. So I was testing this with a few friends, and it was actually very fun because you're killing them so quickly. As you can see on the video, I'm just absolutely wrecking these guys. When you're Zerked, you can hit 10k, even 12k basics. It's absolutely insane, and I could already tell that it was way better than Mage, and there really is no reason to use Mage here at all if you have the upgraded Darklight. And just remember, guys, throughout this video, you can still use the regular Darklight. It was buffed. It's just that the upgraded is just way better, but you can still use the regular Darklight, and it's going to be way better than Drygors, for example, but not necessarily better than Noxious Staff. You'll have to really test that and see how close the two kill rates are. Now, here I did another 30-minute test, and it turns out I was getting 212 kills per hour, which the sound of that is just insane considering these are extremely high level monsters, you could say, for Slayer, and their Slayer experience is amazing. Now, I'm just going to say you can probably get 200 kills per hour just because I was going max efficiency, no AFK whatsoever. I wasn't picking up any drops, and I would recommend to pick up the drops here. They are pretty decent. So let's just drop that rate down to like maybe 200 to be more effective. But it's still a huge comparison. So I found I can get around like 85 to 90 kills per hour off task here with the Noxious Staff. Now you can see that it's pretty much double. It's absolutely insane here, guys. It's absolutely amazing. There is no reason whatsoever you should not be using a Darklight. Even if it's not upgraded, you should be using a Darklight here. And you can see now that my Slayer rate's right there. Just imagine if I was on task, I would actually get more kills per hour. Not trillions more, obviously, but I'll get more kills per hour on Slayer. And that could put the task to almost 400k experience per hour, which would be the best Slayer task in the game. Not to mention, it's pretty good money if you pick up everything. I was making about 1.5 mil per hour in just Spring Cleaner items. And not to mention, you get a ton of charms now. It's roughly like 250 blues per hour with the Darklight at my rate. Again, guys, this is where you need to use it. I recommend doing Kal'gerions. So with all that, if you only take one thing out of this video, just know that the Darklight is amazing at Kal'gerions. That's all you guys need to know, really. That's the most important thing you guys need to know from this video. The third test I did were the Water Fiends, and I did like a 15-minute test because they're pretty repetitive. There's really nothing to them. So a 15-minute test felt pretty sufficient, and it was pretty easy. I did it in the Chaos Tunnels, and it worked really well. There wasn't an amazing difference between the Darklight and the Noxious Staff maging, but there is a considerable difference if you don't want to pay full attention. So yeah, the rates I found with the Noxious Staff were roughly 525 per hour off task, and about 600 off task with the Darklight. So yeah, it's roughly 50, 75 better with the Darklight per hour. Now that isn't like a huge difference, but when you're doing the familiarization like triple charms thing, definitely do melee because you're only doing it for 40 minutes. You can grind through that. It'll be very boring because you have to pay a lot more attention than mage, but you know, you'll get more charms per hour and it's more effective. Now again, if you can't afford a Noxious Staff, definitely use melee here with the Darklight. And the final test I did were the Gargoyles. So I wasn't really expecting much here because they're kind of spread out a little bit and they have such an awkward amount of life points. It's like 6,700. So it's like too high to easily one-hit them with melee. So you don't really get that many like one-hit kills. So it's kind of weird, but I tested it. It was fine. The Darklight is nice because it acts as a rock hammer if you do have the thing bought from the Slayer Master for the efficient clicks or whatever it's called. So that is nice, so you don't have to like remember your rock hammer. So I guess it's convenience, but from my test, I found that it's roughly 700 kills per hour with Mage, Noxious Staff off task. Maybe like 650 if you're going conservative. So, you know, it's okay. It's pretty good. And then with the Darklight setup and stuff like that, I got pretty much 650 to 700 depending. So it's basically the same. It's really the same here. There really is no difference. So if you do not have the Noxious Staff or Seismics or whatever, use the melee. But if you do have the Noxious Staff, I would recommend using Mage on and off task because it's a lot easier. You don't have to run around everywhere. It's less click intensive. You can, you know, kind of leave your screen a lot more with Mage than melee just all around. So you do have to weigh that when you do these decisions between these tasks. Really, in conclusion with all of these tasks, just know that absolutely use Darklight at Kal'gerions, and then for Abyssal Demons, Water Fiends, Gargoyles, and possibly anything else I didn't test, it's really up to you if you want to weigh the AFK or not. Like if you want to AFK, go right ahead, go Mage. You're not going to be losing that much experience per hour. But if you really want to go really efficient, then Darklight probably is for you if it's upgraded. Now guys, I know I didn't test every single creature that the Darklight is actually effective on, but just know that you only can use them on demon type enemies, and there's a list on the Wikia. If you want to go check that out, I will have that in the description for all the monsters that the Darklight actually works on. And it's also kind of cool that it also works on the Zamorak God Wars generals. Now, it doesn't work on the actual boss, so I didn't really want to test it. I don't really feel like it might be better or not. I feel like just either maging or using straight up Drygors are better because you get faster kills on the main boss. But maybe having a switch to a Darklight to quickly kill the minions if you're doing a melee trip would probably be a nice thing to do. So yeah, that's my conclusion. Now, you guys can argue in the comments if it's overpowered or not. Honestly, I think it's a little too strong on the Kal'gerions because it kind of made it from like a very mid-tier high-level monster, I guess you could say, and like relatively difficult to being very easy. It's very easy. During the entire 30-minute test, I know I'm max and all that stuff, but with Void, I never had to eat with Soul Split. I never even had to worry about food at all. I was absolutely destroying them. If it was dragged down a little bit, maybe to 150 kills per hour, I really wouldn't care. I would still use the Darklight because it's just more convenient. But like doubling the kills per hour is absolutely insane, guys. So yeah, that is my consensus on the Darklight. I would recommend getting the upgrade. It's not that long to get. Just finish the quest, which took me like 6 hours, and I did all the bonus stuff with it. You could probably rush through it in 2-3 hours max if you weren't going for all the bonus crap. So I hope this video convinced you that the Darklight can be useful at various tasks, and it kind of makes melee worth it at Slayer again, because Slayer was very mage dominated during my Slayer series, and it was kind of annoying because I wanted to train melee every now and then. So yeah guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day.